Hello everyone, and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is November the 21st, 2024. Welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, I am so happy you have come back to share some time with me. And if you are new to the channel or just happening by for the first time, I hope you enjoy what you see. And before you leave, please hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to click on the bell to get all the notifications, because very, very soon now, only 10 more days, we will be at the end of November and we will be getting started on the Advent calendars for this year. And I'll talk more about Advents in a little bit. So for those that are new, I'm coming to you from Chatham, Ontario, which is the very southernmost tip of Ontario and Canada. And I'm all about crochet, of course, but I also talk a lot about things related to crochet, and particularly I talk about yarn. And I focus on hand-dyed yarn. So if you want to see or know more about hand-dyed yarn, then you want to stick around, because I have an acquisition to show you today that I'm pretty excited about. So I absolutely love hand-dyed yarn, and I have been concentrating on getting it from Canada. I still get EFA, which stands for Expression Fiber Arts. As you can see, I have quite a bit of it, and I still do get it, but otherwise I focus on Canadian, especially right now. For those that may not be aware, Canada is having a Canada Post strike. So I had intended to announce a winner amongst my viewers just for watching for October. And I forgot, I meant to do it last week and I forgot to pull a name. So I was going to do it this week, but I decided there was no point to it because I can't mail anything right now. And I don't know how long it'll be before we can mail something. And then once we can mail, you can imagine everything is going to be all backed up. And on top of that, it is the Christmas season, which is the heaviest mailing season of the year. So who knows how long it's going to take for anything to get where it's supposed to be. So I'm really glad to report that one of my Christmas Advent calendars was coming from Windsor. She was getting ready to mail when post office went on strike last Friday. So instead, she sent it by UPS, and they tried to deliver today, but I had a very, very busy day and wasn't home for most of it. And I have to go and pick it up tomorrow. They couldn't leave it because it needed a signature. So that's one of my Advent calendars that has made it, and I'll pick it up tomorrow, and that's pretty exciting. I have one coming from Alberta, from Borealis, and they were going to send it just before the strike. And I don't know if they put it in the mail before the strike happened or not, so I haven't heard what they're doing about it, so who knows. I just hope I have it in time to do something with it. And the third one, as I told you, I had 3 for Christmas. It came in a bundle from Polka Dot Creek, who is also in Alberta. And I gave them to Bonnie because they were not individually packaged. And I got them back from Bonnie. So here, if I can get them up for you to see. All packaged in boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. This one is sliding around here. And there's another layer underneath here. So the boxes are bigger than the skeins, but that's okay. And then there is one, I didn't remember, there is one full hank that comes with it that we will open on the last day. I haven't decided if I'll do it on the 24th or if I will wait till the 26th to open it. I'll decide sometime in December. And while we're talking about Advents, I will tell you that I am going to do my Advent calendars just the way I did it last year. I'm quite happy with how that worked out, and it seemed to work for people. And I'm going to, I don't really want to do the Vlogmas thing where you do something every day. I just am not up to doing a video every day, especially given what I have to deal with these days now that I'm looking after Rose and her concerns. So I will be doing it every other day, and I will open 2 at a time, and they all have 24 plus a major one. I don't know if they all have a full hank or not, but I definitely will do them every other day up until the 24th, which will open them all. Borealis will not have an extra one, and I don't think I went for the extra one from Green Button Jar either. So I just have this one extra. Plus I've done an exchange, which I'll talk more about that later, and I'll be opening those at the end as well. So Advent season will soon be upon us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what I'm going to be getting in my little surprise packages. I also today saw on Instagram a pattern from Guy with a Hook. Is that his name? Guy with a Hook? Anyhow, he had come up with a design to use Advents, and I rather liked it, and he's going to release it at the 1st of December. So I think I might pick one of my Advents and try making that. And I have another plan as well that I'll talk about more when the time comes, but it's not very far away. So it's getting kind of exciting. Next, I want to talk about what I need to start with what am I wearing? I wear this so often, I don't really think I need to talk about it, but it was rather chilly down here tonight, and I think I noticed it more because I'm very, very tired. So if I look like I have bags under my eyes, I'm sorry, but it's not only how busy I've been, and I'll talk about the weekend in a minute, but today was an extremely busy day. So I'm running a bit tired, so I may not remember all that I'm supposed to be doing and saying. But I am wearing, once again, the Agatha reading shawl, which I'm going to be talking more about in just a minute. And it's made with Karen latte cake, which leads me into what did I finish this week? And here it is. This is another Agatha reading shawl. And this is done by Ophelia Talks. And again, this is a latte cake. Some of you may recognize that particular latte cake. And I'll show you the back. This is what I like about this shawl. It's not got a big point. It has a flat bottom. It's made in 3 sections, the side, the back, and the other side. So it drapes very nicely over the shoulders. And again, being latte is so comfy. And I have made this as a Christmas gift for someone. So that's what I managed to finish last week. I think I also finished my November Mal item. I'm pretty sure I finished it at the very beginning of the week, and then I did this throughout the week. And I just started another project last night, I believe, but we'll wait and talk about that next week. I went through a phase of not knowing what to do and couldn't focus on anything. I think I was just really super tired from the weekend. So I'm imagining that's what you're waiting to hear all about. For those that are new, I participated in a craft show this past weekend, a one-day show on Saturday. I don't do the circuit of craft shows. There isn't a decent one here in Chatham, although I am going to check out one I have heard about at the beginning of December to see if that one's worthwhile. And if it is, I will maybe do it next year instead. Now, the one I participated in is at DeGroote's Nursery in Sarnia. And Sarnia is an hour, just slightly over an hour away from me. It is a large one. They have been going for many years. The person that was next to me last year told me she'd been participating for 10 years. So I have to guess it's been going longer than that. And there were this year even more than last year. Last year when I was in it, there were 79 or 80, I believe. This year there were over 100. So it's a really nice market for people to attend, and it is fairly busy. And Sarnia is a decent size city. It's bigger than Chatham. So I tend to be able to sell some of my what do I call more luxury items at that show, things that I couldn't sell here in Chatham. Now, if you really want to see some of the things that I had for sale, you can look at my video 2 weeks ago where I showed, not everything, but I showed some shawls, I showed my wraps, and I showed the asymmetrical triangles. And I was really pleased to sell a few of my luxury items, as well as, the normal thing. I have ponchos and KALs and my bandana hoodie, bandana cowl hoodies. So I'm going to do some pictures, but I'm going to have to look down here so I know what I'm showing you and I can tell you about them as I post them. So on Instagram, I started with this post, which is after we set everything up on Friday. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And we covered it because this is in a greenhouse, and if it rains, and there had been rain the day before, it would come through a little bit, not heavy, but it does come through and drops on the table. And there was a spot where you could see it was wet. So just to be safe, we covered it up when we left. Now, first I want to tell you, I brought everything up that I was taking Thursday night and set it by my front door. And then Friday morning, I loaded my car. Took a little break after that, and then we set out right around noon hour. Bonnie went with me to get out of there. My furry co-host wants to get in the box of Christmas Advents. Not the place for him. So we set off for Sarnia and set up. Takes a couple of hours in the afternoon to set up. So after this picture, here is the table straight on from across, behind the table that was across from me. There was less space because the wall where I was, they forced in or crowded in one more vendor, and they put a couple of smaller vendors' tables right in the middle of what was the aisle last year. So less movement, space for movement. So there it is straight on. And then here is a picture looking to the left where I have the hanging items, and then a picture looking to the right. And you can see that I made a special sign. I don't know. I don't think I can zoom in on it. I will see if I can do a zoom in on this sign. Oh, and it explains that the items on the table there are luxury, made with luxury yarns, and I list the type of luxury yarns and that they are hand dyed. So that's the setup from the day before. Saturday, the day of the show, this one is unlike many craft shows because of the fact that it is in a nursery. And a lot of craft shows start at 10 a.m. This one started at 8 a.m. But remember, it's an hour away and you can't just arrive at 8. You got to get there at about 7:30, get the tarp off and straighten things up. So I was up at 5:30 in the morning, and believe me, 5:30 in the morning doesn't sit real well with me. I'm not an early morning riser. So we headed out. It was almost 6:30 when we left town. We in the dark, and we watched the sunrise when we were a little over halfway there. And good crowds, right from 8 o'clock on. I'm surprised there are people there already at 8 o'clock in the morning. But I actually made a purchase before the show ever started, and I forgot to bring it with me, so give me a minute. I want to. First of all, while I was out getting my purchase, I picked up the sign so you could see what I had put on this board, so people would have a good idea of the kind of yarns that they would find in the items that I make. So Friday, before we left, we did a bit of a circuit of the other vendors to see what was there. And I fell in love with this, and they didn't have a price on it, so I had to wait till I come back the next day. So they had it priced, and I could not resist. I just couldn't. I'm a person that likes black with bright colors. I think black makes everything pop. And I'm not going to be able to show you this whole thing at once. So I'm probably going to have to go and take a picture and pop it in. But I'll try. And first of all, look at the bright colors. And here is what's on. You can see some of it. And here is the main focus of the quilt. It is a quilt. It's a good size quilt. It's probably about 4 feet wide. And it's over 60 inches long. I know that. And here we go. Look at this. And I will try to take a picture of it on the couch so you can get a feel of the whole thing. Bounded with cat paws. And she even stitched on the back, and I wouldn't be able to show you, but she stitched cat shapes in it. It's really, really beautiful. And very, very reasonably priced. Quilting, I know, takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and there's a lot of fabric in this. And even these squares on the side are all cats. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I had to splurge and treat myself. I really, really love that quilt. And here I am thinking of making myself blankets at Christmas. And then I buy the quilt. I won't need blankets. But anyway, that was the start of my day on Saturday. And I think my perspective is that for me at my booth, there were people there going by, and it's really quite interesting to watch people. You wonder sometimes what they're doing there because they walk right on by, and I watched some people walk right on by. They didn't look at the booth next to me. They didn't look at mine. Now, the lady beside me on the other side, she had jewelry, and jewelry always attracts people. And it was jewelry that she had made, and it is cheaper than my items, and that's what people tend to go for. Um, I have to say, though, I don't think she was particularly busy first off in the morning either. And I thought it was a little bit slow. And then we sold a couple of items. And it had been my intention to take a picture of each item that sold so I could tell you what did sell. I can tell you a few items, but I can't remember them all. So there was a few in the morning, and that was good. And then it seemed to pick up in the afternoon. And I had one lady who read the sign and came up, okay, so show me this cashmere. So I pulled out the items that were cashmere. My most expensive item on the table was cashmere. And she liked it, but it wasn't her color. So in the end, she never bought anything. A couple people said they'd be back, and one of them did come back. But generally speaking, when they say that, they don't come back. But the sales picked up in the middle of the afternoon, and I was beginning to feel that I was doing all right. My goal was to do better than last year, and I really didn't think I would quite make it. But then it turned out, and I'll tell you more of that story later, but I had to leave near the end for a few minutes. And while I was gone, Bonnie sold a couple of items that put us over last year's total. Now, early in the morning, maybe mid-morning, I had a visitor, Lisa, who is a follower of the channel. She stopped by. She told me ahead of time she'd be coming straight to my booth first. I met her at this craft show last year, and then she became a follower of my channel after she was at my booth. And I knew she was coming to see me and then go and see other things. So she brought me a little gift, which really surprised me, and it's so cute. I have my own emotional support chicken. Isn't that adorable in my kind of colors? Isn't that sweet? Thank you so much, Lisa. And I will somehow get it up there with the others. I'm getting a pretty big crowd up there. There's only so much I can fit up there, but this is adorable. And thank you very much. I appreciate it, Lisa. Lisa did purchase an item and went off to visit the rest of the show. She was gone, I think, for a couple of hours, but she came back with some good bargains. So that's good. And I was fairly happy with how things turned out for the day. And I knew that Cathy W, for those of you that watch Cathy, she's Yarn with Heart. She had told me that she was coming to see me. We had some things to exchange. And she's in Toronto, North Toronto. But if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that Cathy and I have met up before. We met at the Fiber Festival in the spring, and she came to visit me because she originally is from my area. Her and her husband came to visit me. So she was coming to visit. I knew she was coming. And I'm just looking here at the pictures. Oh, I know. Before I get talking about Cathy, I have a little bit of a video of my booth that I videotape things on the table and around, so you get a close-up of some of the things. So I'm going to put it in here. I should have put it in earlier, but I'm going to stop things and put it in here. This is one that has to be held up for people, because that's the one with the hexagon in the middle that you can't see.
live mannequin.
Yeah, we got a live mannequin. So you get a pretty good feel for what I had, and you would have seen the mannequins at the front right and left. On the left was a shawl I made for Gary's mood board, and on the right, on the mannequin, you would have seen a poncho. Those two items did sell, and the shawl would definitely be a luxury item because it was made with Mirage silk, so it had various luxury yarns in it. Now, what surprised me was we went most of the day, and I never had anybody particularly pay any attention to my bandana cowl hoodies. And they are made with acrylic. I forget exactly the composition, but yarn that I got in Michael's, loops and thread yarn. And I thought, well, there's an item that might be popular. And people didn't even seem to notice it. And I had one on the mannequin. But eventually they did see it, and one person absolutely loved it. She's taking a picture for somebody else. In the end, I sold 3 of the 5 of them. But again, the beginning, it didn't look promising. So I was quite pleased to sell that many of them. So as I was saying, towards the end, Cathy came to visit me. I knew she was coming. I had something for her, and she was bringing me some shawls for my donation box for next month. And on the way, she had stopped in London. And I have mentioned her before, Tammy, a follower of my channel. She had a craft show in London. And I told you when she sent in her items for the MAL last month that she was doing 11 craft shows this fall. One was more than enough for me. But anyhow, Cathy stopped there to visit her and made a purchase and brought me a little gift. I don't think Cathy minds showing me. She bought some of Tammy's items. Now, this is made by Tammy, and this is the only cat she had. Look at the cat's tail here outside of his coveralls with he's got suspenders. I'm saying he, who knows? And isn't she cute? So this one is going to be a little harder to put up there because it doesn't sit. But I think I found a way to get him to stand at the side and lean against the edge. So we will get both of these mounted up there before next week. And I want to thank Cathy for the gift and Tammy for the lovely job she does. And I want to thank Lisa for her gift. And Lisa made this herself. Apparently she made quite a few as gifts. So I'm the one blessed to receive these. So I'm really, really pleased. And then Cathy, bless her soul, made a big purchase from me. But as she said, she had family she wanted to give quality items to, and she can't crochet or knit with the fine with wool. Wool bothers her. So she knew these relatives would not appreciate acrylic, so she bought some items from me. And I thank you very much, Cathy, for supporting my booth. And I have to say that in the end, I did far better than I ever expected to do. And I was very, very happy with the outcome. So it ended at 3 o'clock, and Cathy was there at that point. And I'm going to put up a picture of Cathy, myself, and Bonnie. And we talked for a little bit before she headed out. So it was a little after 3 when we started to pack it all up. and takes an hour or better. We packed up pretty quick, and we were out of there pretty quick. It was a little after 4 when we left. And as we were coming close to Chatham, although it didn't get dark, thank goodness, but we could see the sun, the orangey color of the sun, sinking in the west as we headed home. A very long day. I did not even unpack the car. It waited till the next day, and I unpacked on Sunday, and I brought it all in the house, but I don't think I unpacked everything from their cases until the next day. I was beat. I'm getting too old for these ridiculous hours and long days. So anyhow, that was our experience at the craft show on the weekend. But I have pretty much made up my mind that I won't be doing it next year. I will do a craft show if I can find one of a decent size here in town, local, so I don't have to make 2 long trips and I don't have to be up before the sunrise. If I can do one local, I will do one next year. But in the meantime, I've been doing some real thinking about what can I do with the items I'm making. I mean, I make a lot of things. I love making them, and I certainly can't keep them all, and I have very limited family. So I need to be selling what I make, and I want to tell you right now that the things that are made of acrylic, yes, I can charge a price that I get my materials back and maybe a couple extra dollars. But the luxury items, the amount of yarn in them and the price of hand-dyed yarn, especially in Canadian funds, is quite high. And I could never, in this area, I could never get the price of my materials out of them. So everything I have is really severely underpriced. And I know I shouldn't do that, but my point is I love making them. I can't keep them. I could fill a room with them if I didn't try to sell them. And if I want to sell them, I have to make my prices pretty low. So I am going to try something that I haven't done before. First of all, I want to tell you, if I ever show anything that you are interested in, when I show you my finished objects, please feel free to get in touch with me and find out if I'm selling it and what the price is. I am going to try to list show 1 or 2 things every week on Instagram. And I'm sure there's lots of people following me and other hand dyers and yarn groups that understand the value of hand-dyed yarn and yarn that has camel and silk and alpaca and cashmere in it. They know you don't buy that for $5 or $10 a ball. And I'm hoping if I show the pictures and state the fiber content of the items and tell them, please get in touch with me if you're interested, then maybe I can sell some things on Instagram, and my shipping will be quite reasonable as well. I may come up with a flat rate if Canada Post ever goes back to work. I can send things for $15 or less to the US if it's a small item. If it's really bulky, it'll be a little more than 15. In Canada, it's probably, my flat rate will probably be maybe around $20, because you know something? It costs me more to ship something within Canada than it does to send it to the US. Don't ask me to explain that. I don't understand it. It just seems to be the way it is. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell on Instagram, but I'm hoping that maybe some of you watching might be interested in some of the items I make as well. Especially if you don't tend to work with hand-dyed yarns or don't work with the lighter, finer weights. I make most of what I make with fingering weight. And maybe you don't like to work with the smaller needles and hooks, I should say, and might be interested in something that I have made. So keep that in mind, please. What's next? Well, I'm working on a shawl for the donation bin right now. And then I'm going to try and make an item for Cathy's mal and try to get it done before the end of November. But I also have this yarn. I've had this yarn sitting out for at least a year. I really like them together. I think they would make something very nice. They are both yarns from EFA, and they are both sparkle fingering, and they have not made sparkle fingering in quite a while. And it is 60% merino, 26% nylon, 10% baby alpaca, and 4% metallic. It's a little bit heavier than Stellina, but I think these two are gorgeous, but I can't figure out what to make with them. A shawl is possible, an asymmetrical triangle for sure. If you have a suggestion, I'd love to hear a pattern name that you think these would be great for, because I would like to make these early in December and maybe have them to wear over the holidays. So if you have an idea, please feel free to share it with me. And they no longer make shimmering finger or sparkle fingering. The only sparkle EFA makes is sparkle DK. I have lots of that as well. One day I'll pull some of that out if you like I don't work with DK as much. I'm a fingering person. So looking for suggestions. I think they would be gorgeous together. Now, the other thing I want to mention is I finally got my act together, and I looked at all the pictures of butterflies for next year, and I went through and made up a kit, you might say. I put some yarn in a project bag for every single month. Now, one month has only one small mini in it. It's waiting for several other minis, and I just got notification today that the minis are in the mail, and they come from Sweet Georgia Yarn, and I'm going to show you Sweet Georgia Yarn in just a minute. But if I think of it, I'll maybe take some pictures, but I have all of the project bags full now for next year. And I'm so glad, because I was beginning to worry about it, that I might not have the colors. But for those that are new and don't know what I'm talking about, I do a monthly mal every month. At the first of the month, I show a picture. This year, we're doing tropical birds, and people look at the picture and pick colors from the picture and use that as the inspiration to make an item. You'll hear more about it, because I will, at the beginning of January, I will go through all of the rules and what's going on for next year. Next year, we're going to do butterflies. And it sounds like people are quite interested in making or using butterflies. So I'm happy to hear that. The colors are quite pretty, and almost everyone has black in it. So be stocking up on black. So that brings me to my acquisitions. And I'm so excited to show you this yarn. I've been sitting on it for, well, more than a month, 6 weeks maybe even longer. Now, one skein is already gone. I had bought one mini skein from Sweet Georgia Yarns to check how the color kind of matched up with what I was looking at online. And it was really pretty close. It's the same color, but a little bit duller than the actual picture. And I don't have it. I ended up putting it in the project bag, but I will tell you it was pink. Anyhow, what I discovered, I had no intention from buying from them. I bought this probably the first week of October. And I saw somebody, and I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it Gary or was it Crystal? Or very well could have been somebody else, but I saw somebody who was showing yarn they had bought from Sweet Georgia Yarns. And it turned out that they have something called Cash Lux Spark. And it was sparkly yarn. And when I saw it, I thought, oh my goodness, I've never noticed that when I was on their site before. Not that I looked real close, but I decided to go back and check out their site because Cash Lux tells me it's probably got cashmere in it. And of course, sparkly, and you know how I love my sparkly. So I ended up getting half a dozen skeins because I was in my glory with the sparkle. Now, I wouldn't have bought as much, but two things. First of all, I had what I thought I wanted. I think it was 3 skeins I had, and I went and was checking out to see about the shipping. I always double check the shipping, and I add or delete to see what happens to the shipping, because if I can get an extra skein for the same shipping, I do it. Well, the first thing I found out was that if I spent X dollars, and I don't remember what that was, I would get free shipping. So I said, well, I might consider a little more, but I'm not sure. And then after I'd done it the first time, it didn't come up. But the next time I went, they had they said for the month of October, 30% off. And I thought, well, I mean, 30% off is a pretty decent discount. You don't get that a lot in hand-dyed yarn. Yeah, Lion Brand has 30% off and 40% off. So does Michael's. And oftentimes in Canada, that's on one item, not your whole order. And I thought, well, you know what? This is the time to get it if it's 30% off. So I made it a higher order because I thought, I'm getting this beautiful yarn, and I was not disappointed when I got it. So let's start here. I got these two, which I think will go together so well. And you know, it's rare that I have orange. I did have 1 or 2 things with a little bit of orange, but not much. So let's read what it says about it. They're in Vancouver, by the way. I forgot to mention that. And they don't put, oh, here it is here. 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% sparkling stellina. They're 420 yards, 384 meters in 100 grams. Oh, it's 115 grams skein. This feels very nice. Lots of times you get this with stellina. You don't feel stellina in it. You can feel metallic or lurex if that's what's in it. But stellina is rare. It's very fine and it's in the wool. But cashmere, this feels like there is cashmere in it. It is very soft. So that's what they all of them are the same yarn. This one is called Mandarin. Good color. And this one is called Arbutus. That has to do with trees. But see the different browns? That would have been a good skein of yarn for this current month, Tropical Bird, but I already had a good skein and I've used it. I'm almost sure down the road I'm going to be putting these two together. But oh, it does feel nice. Yes, it does feel nice. So those are the first two, and they go so well together that I really, really do like them. And then I have four others over here, and um, I never even opened the bag. I opened the box and I saw this beautiful sparkle, and I just said, oh, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to look at it until I show it on screen. So I pulled it out of the box this week, so I have looked at the colors, and there is a shipping invoice, but it doesn't have any prices on it. If you go and look, you'll see prices that will surprise you, because remember, they are Canadian prices. If you're in the US, I just looked yesterday, and the exchange rate from US to Canada is 43.6%. Not nice at all. But it's good going your direction. You don't get 43, but it's a lot less for you to purchase from Canada for sure. So, quick glance, there is the bag. Doesn't surprise anybody to see these colors. I'm going to start with this one. A little greener than I would typically get. In the picture and probably on the website, it looked a little closer to teal. This is definitely green, and it's called clover. But that's not a bad thing, because I really don't have green, and this will go, you know, even with these if I wanted three together. But I'm pretty sure I'll do those two. So there's the first one, clover. Next one. Oh, what a lovely blue. What a lovely blue. And this one's called Watershed. All of these feel yummy. I have to tell you, really yummy. If you're looking for some good deals. And you know, I just got notification they're sending me my order, and I'm pretty sure, did they say, let me just check in case you're interested, how it's being shipped. Sweet Georgia tracking. It doesn't say how they're tracking, but they can't be using Canada Post, because the tracking number is not the same. It usually starts with a certain sequence, and this doesn't. So let's just see what happens here. Huh. Well, it looks like Canada Post. I don't know how they shipped it when Canada Post isn't open. Be interesting to know how they really are shipping it. Anyhow, who cares right now? You just want to see the lovely yarn. Sorry, I got sidetracked. This is oh, this just feels so yummy. I want to start working with it right now. And the next two, here's this one. They call this mulberry. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. These I can see are a little bit tonal, not a lot, but they aren't quite solid either. Lovely color. And finally, we get ultraviolet. Now this one you can see the tonal. It is lighter and much darker down here. The tonal is much more obvious in this skein of yarn than the other. The others almost look solid, but this one isn't. See if you can see it up here. See how dark it is there, and it gets lighter. You can see the different colors there. Oh, they just feel so yummy. I want to sit down with all of them and make something right away. But you know, it's going to be a little bit of while before I have time to make use of any of these. But they're going to be on the front burner. I'm at that point where I just want to work with beautiful, yummy yarns. And right now I'm working with an acrylic. Doesn't measure up, even though it's soft, it just doesn't measure up to something like this. So, but I'm actually wanting to make next winter, this winter coming up, the season of sweaters. Of course, I don't have enough in any of these to make a sweater unless I could put them together. But I have some sweaters in mind, and I don't want a color block. I want to be good at making a sweater that I'm very happy with the fit before I go doing any other fancy things with the sweaters. So anyway, that's my acquisition. I have one more acquisition sitting there. It is from EFA that I got maybe 2 weeks ago. And I have made another order from EFA. They haven't shipped it yet. And I really kind of hope they don't ship it right away. It might get into the big pile and get lost, although first shipped is going to be the first ones that they process to get them to us. I want to remind you, by the way, I want to say now that next Thursday, I have a show next Thursday, but I know most of you, I think about 80% of my viewers are from the US, and I know you're going to be celebrating next Thursday. And I want to remind you that the very next day, Black Friday, you will see, unless things are different this year, I mean, she doesn't say anything ahead, but EFA always, as long as I've been dealing with them, had a 30% off sale on Black Friday, and that's site-wide to my knowledge, to my recollection. So it is a good time to try out something you maybe were interested in and are a bit hesitant to try. That is the time at 30% off. So I just remind you of that. I'm not affiliated in any way. I don't get anything from it. You just know that I love EFA, and I tell you about it as I use it. So that pretty much sums up what I had to show you this week. Next week is the end of November, and I want to remind you that the 26th, I believe I said this month, the 26th is the deadline day for getting your pictures into me. And I'm saying that for a couple of reasons. The bulk of you are in the US, and I want you to get your pictures sent before you get so wrapped up in your holiday celebrations that you totally forget to send it to me. This way you send it ahead and it's done and taken care of, and it'll get in the slideshow at the 1st of December. Also, I'm going to be a little bit busy between the 26th and the end of the month, and I wanted to give myself a little bit more time to get that video together, because it always takes me 2 days for sure, and sometimes even a little bit longer, but definitely 2 different days to put that video together. And I don't want to shortchange it, and I want to do a proper job. So I'm reminding you to get your pictures in as soon as you can. The 26th, I think, is next Tuesday. And that's pretty much all we have to see today. I look forward to seeing you all next week. I'm not too sure what we'll be doing next week, but hopefully I'll have a finished object. And I definitely do have an acquisition that I will be showing you next week. So I hope you'll all be back then. And until next week, happy hooking.